Positioning your life, designing the future you want. Why most people feel lost in their 20s. There is a quiet moment that many people experience sometime in their 20s. It usually does not arrive with drama or a major crisis. Instead, it appears slowly, almost invisibly, in the background of everyday life. At first, everything seems normal. You wake up, follow your routine, go to work or school, talk with friends, scroll through your phone, and repeat the same cycle again the next day. Life feels stable, maybe even comfortable. But somewhere in the middle of that routine, a question begins to appear. Where exactly is all of this going? For many young adults, this question becomes one of the most unsettling realizations of early adulthood. During childhood and teenage years, the path ahead always seemed clearly defined. School created structure. Teachers gave instructions. Parents offered guidance. The next step was usually obvious. Finish the semester. Pass the exam. Graduate from school. But once that structure disappears, something unexpected happens. The responsibility for designing life suddenly shifts to you. And for the first time, there is no clear map. This transition often creates a strange combination of freedom and confusion. On one hand, the possibilities appear endless. You can choose different careers, move to different cities, explore different lifestyles. But on the other hand, the absence of direction can feel overwhelming. Without a clear sense of where you are going, even small decisions can feel heavy. Should you focus on career growth or personal passion? Should you pursue stability or take risks? Should you follow what society expects or follow your own interests? These questions do not always have immediate answers. And because of that uncertainty, many people fall into a pattern of drifting. Drifting does not necessarily look like failure. In fact, from the outside, a drifting life can appear perfectly normal. A person may have a job, pay their bills, socialize with friends, and maintain a stable routine. But internally, something feels incomplete. There is a subtle sense that life is happening rather than being intentionally created. This feeling is more common than most people realize. Part of the reason is that modern society provides more options than ever before. While opportunity is valuable, it also increases complexity. Previous generations often followed clearer paths. Family expectations, economic conditions, and social traditions limited the number of available choices. Today, the landscape is different. Young adults are encouraged to explore, experiment, and discover their own direction. While this freedom is empowering, it also requires skills that are rarely taught in school. One of those skills is life positioning. Positioning your life means understanding where you currently stand, where you want to go, and how to gradually move in that direction. Without positioning, effort becomes scattered. You may work hard, stay busy, and constantly try new things, but your actions do not accumulate toward a meaningful destination. With positioning, however, even small efforts begin to align. Each decision contributes to a larger direction. Imagine standing in the middle of a huge city without a map. You could walk for hours, maybe even days, exploring different streets. But without knowing where you want to go, your movement would remain random. Now imagine having a clear destination. Suddenly, every street becomes meaningful. Each step moves you closer to that destination. Life works in a similar way. The difference between drifting and intentional living is not always the amount of effort you apply. Often, the difference is simply direction. Another reason many people feel lost in their 20s is the influence of comparison. Modern technology exposes us to thousands of other people's lives every day. Social media highlights achievements, milestones, and success stories from individuals around the world. Someone launches a startup at 22. Another person becomes famous on the internet. Someone else buys a house or travels across the world. Seeing these stories repeatedly can create the illusion that everyone else has already figured out their life. But this perception is rarely accurate. What we see online is usually a carefully selected highlight of someone's journey. We rarely see the confusion, uncertainty, and experimentation that happened before those visible successes. In reality, most people spend their 20s exploring different directions. They change careers. They develop new skills. They discover interests they never expected. This exploration is not a sign of failure. It is a necessary part of discovering where you truly belong. However, exploration becomes more valuable when it is combined with reflection. Instead of randomly jumping from one opportunity to another, thoughtful individuals begin asking deeper questions about their experiences. What type of work energizes me? What environments bring out my best performance? What problems do I find interesting enough to solve repeatedly? These questions gradually reveal patterns. Over time, those patterns begin forming a clearer picture of where your life might be positioned most effectively. Another powerful realization during this stage is that direction rarely appears all at once. Many people expect a sudden moment of clarity where everything becomes obvious. They imagine waking up one day with a perfectly defined life plan. But in reality, clarity often develops slowly. Small experiences provide small insights. Small insights lead to small adjustments. And those adjustments gradually shape a clearer path. The process may not feel dramatic, but it is incredibly powerful, because over time, small decisions compound into major life directions. The key is becoming aware that you are responsible for positioning your life. No one else can fully design that path for you. Friends may offer advice. Family may share expectations. Society may present certain models of success. But ultimately, you are the one who must live the life that those decisions create. Recognizing this responsibility can feel intimidating at first, but it is also deeply empowering. Because once you accept that your direction is yours to shape, every decision becomes an opportunity to move closer to the life you want. And that realization marks the true beginning of adulthood. But understanding why people feel lost is only the first step. The next question becomes much more important. If direction is not automatically given, how do you actually begin designing your life intentionally? That is exactly what we will explore in the next part. Discovering what kind of life you actually want. After realizing that life will not automatically provide a clear direction, the next challenge becomes much more personal. If the path is not predetermined, then an important question begins to emerge. What kind of life do you actually want to build? At first, this question may sound simple. Many people answer quickly with familiar ideas. They want success. They want happiness. They want financial stability. They want freedom. But when you begin exploring deeper, the question becomes more complex. What does success really mean to you? Does it mean building a thriving business? Becoming an expert in a certain field? Creating art that inspires people? Living a balanced life with meaningful relationships? The truth is that success does not look the same for everyone. Yet many people unconsciously adopt someone else's definition of success without ever questioning it. They follow paths that society promotes, careers that appear prestigious, or lifestyles that seem impressive from the outside. For a while, this approach can feel satisfying. External validation provides motivation. Praise from others feels rewarding. Achievements create a sense of progress. But eventually, some people begin noticing a subtle disconnect. Even though they are moving forward according to society's expectations, something inside them feels incomplete. That feeling often signals an important realization. You may be chasing a life that was designed for someone else. Discovering what kind of life you truly want requires a different kind of thinking. Instead of focusing on what impresses others, you begin focusing on what genuinely energizes you. This is not always obvious immediately. In fact, many people spend years discovering what kind of work, environment, and lifestyle actually fit their personality. One useful approach is paying attention to moments when you feel naturally engaged. Think about times when you lose track of time while working on something. Maybe you enjoy solving complex problems. Maybe you feel energized when communicating ideas to others. Maybe you feel deeply satisfied when building or creating something tangible. These moments often reveal important clues about your natural interests. Another helpful question involves imagining different versions of your future. Imagine waking up 10 years from now. What kind of work would make you feel excited to start the day? What type of environment would you prefer to live in? Would you enjoy working independently, leading a team, collaborating creatively, or helping people directly? These reflections help clarify what kind of lifestyle aligns with your values. Values are another essential part of life positioning. Values represent the principles that guide your decisions and priorities. For some people, freedom and independence are extremely important. They want the ability to control their schedule and pursue personal projects. For others, stability and security matter more. They prefer predictable environments where they can build steady progress over time. Neither approach is right or wrong. The key is understanding what matters most to you. When people ignore their own values, they often end up building lives that feel misaligned. They may achieve certain goals, but still experience dissatisfaction because those goals were not connected to their deeper priorities. Understanding your values helps create clarity when making important decisions. For example, if creativity is a core value, you may prefer careers that allow you to express ideas and explore innovation. If helping others is a strong value, you may feel drawn toward professions that involve teaching, coaching, healthcare, or community service. Another useful way to explore your ideal life is examining the environments where you perform best. Some individuals thrive in fast-paced environments where constant challenges create excitement. Others perform better in calm, structured settings where they can focus deeply on long-term projects. Understanding this preference can dramatically influence career satisfaction. A person who thrives in creative environments may struggle in highly rigid workplaces. Conversely, someone who values structure may feel uncomfortable in chaotic or unpredictable settings. This is why self-awareness plays such an important role in positioning your life. Instead of trying to force yourself into environments that conflict with your nature, you begin searching for environments where your natural tendencies become advantages. Another important element of designing your life involves recognizing that your first direction does not have to be perfect. Many people feel intense pressure to choose the right path immediately. They believe that one wrong decision could permanently limit their future. In reality, life is far more flexible. Most careers evolve through a series of adjustments rather than a single perfect decision. People gain experience, discover new interests, and refine their direction over time. Your early choices simply provide starting points. Think of them as experiments rather than permanent commitments. Each experience teaches you something valuable about your preferences, strengths, and interests. Over time, these lessons accumulate. Gradually, you begin recognizing patterns. Certain activities consistently energize you. Certain environments bring out your best performance. Certain challenges feel meaningful enough to pursue long-term. These patterns slowly reveal a clearer vision of the life you want to build. But there is one more important factor that often prevents people from pursuing the life they truly want. Fear. Fear of failure. Fear of judgment. Fear of making the wrong decision. These fears are completely natural. Every meaningful decision involves uncertainty. However, allowing fear to control your choices can quietly limit your growth. Many people choose safe paths that feel socially acceptable but do not truly excite them. They prioritize avoiding mistakes rather than pursuing meaningful opportunities. Over time, this approach can lead to regret. Because the biggest regret many people experience later in life is not the mistakes they made. It is the opportunities they never attempted. Positioning your life requires courage. Not reckless risk-taking, but thoughtful willingness to explore paths that genuinely interest you. Sometimes this means trying something new. Sometimes it means stepping outside familiar expectations. Sometimes it simply means giving yourself permission to pursue goals that others may not fully understand. But when your actions begin aligning with your true interests and values, something powerful happens. Motivation becomes more natural. Effort begins to feel purposeful, and the direction of your life gradually becomes clearer. However, discovering what you want is only one part of the journey. Once you have a clearer vision, the next challenge becomes practical. How do you actually turn that vision into a real path forward? How do you position your skills, time, and opportunities in a way that moves you closer to the future you want? That is exactly what we will explore in the next part. Turning your vision into a clear life strategy. Once you begin to understand what kind of life you want, a new challenge appears. A vision is powerful, but a vision alone does not create change. Many people have dreams about the future. They imagine successful careers, meaningful work, financial freedom, or a lifestyle that gives them flexibility and purpose. But imagination without strategy often leads to frustration. The difference between people who eventually achieve their vision and those who remain stuck is not simply ambition. The real difference is the ability to transform vision into a practical direction. This is where strategy enters the conversation. Strategy does not mean creating a rigid life plan where every step is perfectly predicted. Life is far too unpredictable for that approach to work. Instead, strategy means building a clear path of progress. It means identifying the skills you need, the experiences that will move you forward, and the actions you can begin taking today. Think of your vision as a destination. Strategy is the road that gradually leads toward that destination. One of the first steps in building a life strategy is identifying the skills that will support your future direction. Every meaningful path requires certain capabilities. If you want to become an entrepreneur, you will need skills related to problem solving, communication, leadership, and understanding markets. If you want to build a creative career, you will need skills related to storytelling, design, communication, or technical craftsmanship. The specific skills may vary depending on the field, but the principle remains the same. Your future opportunities are strongly connected to the abilities you develop today. This realization can be incredibly empowering. Because while many external circumstances are outside your control, your ability to learn and improve is largely within your control. Learning does not always require formal education. Today, knowledge is more accessible than at any other time in history. Books, online courses, videos, mentorship, and practical experience all provide opportunities for growth. The challenge is not the availability of knowledge. The challenge is the discipline to consistently invest time in learning. Many people say they want a better future, but they rarely dedicate time to developing the skills that future requires. Strategy changes this pattern. Instead of randomly consuming information, you begin learning with intention. Each skill you develop becomes a building block for the life you want to create. Another important component of strategy is gaining real-world experience. Knowledge becomes far more powerful when it is applied. Reading about entrepreneurship is helpful, but starting a small project teaches lessons that books alone cannot provide. Learning communication techniques is valuable, but actually presenting ideas to others builds true confidence. Experience provides feedback. It reveals what works and what does not. It exposes strengths you did not realize you had and weaknesses that require improvement. Most importantly, experience reduces uncertainty. Many fears disappear once you take action and realize that progress happens step by step rather than all at once. Another key part of positioning your life is understanding the concept of leverage. Leverage means using certain actions, skills, or relationships to create greater impact. For example, learning how to communicate effectively can dramatically increase your ability to influence opportunities. Building strong relationships can open doors to collaborations, mentorship, or new career paths. Similarly, mastering technology or digital tools can multiply your productivity and reach. Some skills act like multipliers. They amplify your ability to create results. Identifying and developing these high-impact skills can significantly accelerate your progress. Another important aspect of strategy involves patience and consistency. Modern culture often celebrates rapid success stories. Social media frequently highlights individuals who appear to achieve extraordinary results within a short period of time. But behind most visible success stories lies years of preparation. Skills were developed quietly. Experience accumulated gradually. Failures and adjustments occurred long before the public noticed the results. This reality can be discouraging for people who expect quick progress, but it can also be reassuring, because it means that consistent effort truly matters. You do not need to transform your entire life in a single year. You simply need to move forward consistently. Small improvements compound over time. Learning a new skill today may seem insignificant, but after months or years of practice, that skill can become a powerful advantage. Another important element of life strategy is adaptability. No plan survives perfectly unchanged. New opportunities appear, industries evolve, and personal interests develop. Being adaptable means remaining open to adjusting your path while still moving toward your broader vision. Sometimes a new opportunity may lead you toward a direction you never originally considered. Sometimes an unexpected challenge forces you to rethink your approach. Flexibility allows you to evolve without losing momentum. Rather than seeing change as failure, you begin viewing it as refinement. Your strategy becomes a living system rather than a rigid blueprint. Another powerful mindset shift involves thinking long-term. Many people focus only on short-term rewards. They choose options that provide immediate comfort rather than long-term growth. But individuals who successfully position their lives often think differently. They consider how their current decisions will influence the next 5 or 10 years. For example, learning difficult skills today may feel uncomfortable in the short term. But those skills can create opportunities that dramatically change your future. Similarly, Building strong relationships and a positive reputation may take time, but those investments often produce enormous long-term benefits. Long-term thinking transforms how you evaluate choices. Instead of asking, "What feels easiest right now?" you begin asking, "What will move my life forward over time?" This perspective naturally leads to more strategic decisions. However, even with a clear strategy, another challenge remains. How do you stay committed to your path when distractions, setbacks, and doubts begin appearing? Because the journey toward any meaningful future will inevitably include moments where motivation fades or obstacles arise. Learning how to navigate those moments without losing direction is one of the most important skills in positioning your life. And that is exactly what we will explore in the next part. Positioning your life, designing the future you want, staying focused in a world full of distractions. After you begin building a strategy for your future, another challenge quickly appears. The world around you is filled with distractions. Modern life offers an endless stream of entertainment, information, and stimulation. Social media updates arrive every few minutes. News headlines compete for attention. Streaming platforms offer unlimited hours of content. None of these things are inherently bad. Entertainment and information can be enjoyable and sometimes even valuable. But when they consume most of your attention, they quietly steal something incredibly important: your focus. Focus is one of the most powerful resources you possess. It determines where your energy goes and how effectively you can move toward your goals. Without focus, even the best strategy becomes difficult to execute. Many people begin with strong motivation. They feel excited about improving their life, learning new skills, and pursuing meaningful goals. But over time, distractions slowly break their concentration. 1 hour of scrolling through a phone becomes 2 hours. Small interruptions fragment attention throughout the day. Important work is constantly postponed because something easier or more entertaining is always available. This pattern can continue for months or even years. From the outside, it may appear that nothing dramatic is happening. Life continues normally, but internally, progress stalls. The problem is not always laziness. Often, the problem is simply the environment of constant distraction. Understanding this reality is the first step toward protecting your focus. The second step involves recognizing that attention is limited. Every day you wake up with a certain amount of mental energy. How you spend that energy determines whether your day contributes to your long-term goals or simply disappears into routine. This is why many successful individuals intentionally design their daily routines. They create periods of uninterrupted work where they concentrate on meaningful tasks. During these periods, distractions are minimized or eliminated completely. Phones are placed away. Notifications are turned off. The mind is allowed to focus deeply on a single objective. This type of concentration is often called deep work. Deep work allows you to solve complex problems, develop new skills, and produce meaningful results much faster than fragmented attention ever could. But developing this level of focus requires practice. At first, many people find it difficult to concentrate for long periods of time. The habit of constant stimulation makes stillness uncomfortable. The mind wants to check messages, open new tabs, or switch tasks frequently. However, with consistent practice, focus becomes stronger. Just like a muscle, attention improves through repetition. Another important aspect of maintaining focus is clarity. When your goals are vague, distractions become more powerful. If you are not sure what you should be working on, It becomes easy to drift toward easier activities. But when your priorities are clear, your decisions become simpler. You know what matters most. This clarity allows you to ask a simple question whenever a distraction appears. Is this helping me move toward the future I want? Sometimes the answer will be yes. Rest, entertainment, and social connection are healthy parts of life. But many distractions offer only temporary satisfaction while quietly stealing valuable time. Learning to recognize the difference between meaningful rest and unintentional distraction can dramatically improve productivity. Another powerful way to maintain focus is limiting the number of goals you pursue simultaneously. Ambition is valuable, but trying to accomplish too many things at once often leads to scattered energy. When attention is divided between many directions, progress in each area becomes slow. Instead, successful individuals often choose a small number of priorities and concentrate their energy there. This focused effort creates momentum. Momentum is powerful because progress begins to reinforce itself. As you see improvement, motivation increases. As motivation increases, effort becomes easier. Over time, small consistent actions build significant results. Another key element of staying focused is surrounding yourself with the right influences. Human beings are deeply affected by the attitudes and behaviors of the people around them. If you spend time with individuals who constantly pursue growth, learning, and meaningful goals, their mindset will naturally influence you. Conversations begin to revolve around ideas, opportunities, and improvement. But if your environment is dominated by negativity, constant complaining, or endless distraction, maintaining motivation becomes much harder. This is why many people intentionally seek communities that support their ambitions. These communities might exist in professional networks, educational groups, online forums, or local organizations where individuals share similar goals. Being surrounded by others who are also striving for progress can create powerful encouragement. Another important principle involves understanding that discipline often matters more than motivation. Motivation is emotional. It rises and falls depending on mood, circumstances, and external events. Discipline, however, is behavioral. It means doing what needs to be done even when motivation temporarily disappears. For example, a person who relies only on motivation may work intensely for a few days and then stop when enthusiasm fades. But a disciplined individual continues making progress through consistent action. Over time, discipline creates stability. Instead of constantly starting and stopping, progress becomes steady. This steady progress often leads to better results than occasional bursts of intense effort. Finally, maintaining focus requires remembering why your goals matter. When challenges appear, when distractions tempt you, or when progress feels slow, reconnecting with your deeper purpose can renew your commitment. Why did you begin this journey? What kind of life are you trying to create? Who do you want to become? These questions help bring your attention back to what truly matters. And when your focus returns to your deeper purpose, distractions lose much of their power. But even with focus and discipline, another challenge remains. The journey toward building a meaningful life is rarely smooth. Obstacles appear. Mistakes happen. Plans sometimes fail. Learning how to navigate these challenges without losing confidence is the final stage of positioning your life. And that is exactly what we will explore in the final part. Overcoming obstacles and continuing the journey forward. No meaningful life journey moves in a perfectly straight line. At the beginning of your path, everything may feel exciting. You discover new goals, you begin learning important skills, and you start building a strategy for the future you want. But eventually, every person encounters obstacles. Plans do not work exactly the way you expected. Progress slows down. Unexpected problems appear. Sometimes those challenges feel small, like temporary frustrations that disappear after a few days. Other times they feel much larger. You may experience failure. You may lose confidence in your abilities. You may question whether the path you chose was the right one. These moments can feel discouraging, especially when you have already invested time and effort into your goals. But there is an important truth that many people eventually discover. Obstacles are not signs that your journey is over. They are signs that your journey is real. Every meaningful goal involves difficulty. If a path were completely easy, it would rarely lead to anything extraordinary. This realization can change the way you respond to challenges. Instead of interpreting obstacles as reasons to stop, you begin seeing them as information. Each challenge teaches you something. A failed project might reveal weaknesses in your strategy. A mistake might expose a skill that still needs development. A setback might force you to reconsider your approach. These lessons are incredibly valuable. Many successful individuals attribute their greatest growth not to their early victories, but to the moments when they were forced to adapt. When things go smoothly, it is easy to continue without reflection. But when something goes wrong, you are pushed to analyze the situation more carefully. You ask questions. What happened? What could I do differently next time? What skill do I need to improve? This reflective mindset transforms failure into progress. Another important aspect of overcoming obstacles is maintaining perspective. When you are in the middle of a difficult moment, it can feel overwhelming. The problem appears large, and the future may seem uncertain. But if you zoom out and view your life over a longer timeline, the situation often looks very different. A setback that feels devastating today may eventually become a small chapter in a much larger story. Many people who later achieve meaningful success experienced major failures earlier in their journey. They started businesses that collapsed. They applied for opportunities and were rejected. They made decisions that did not produce the results they expected. But instead of allowing those experiences to define their future, they used them as opportunities to grow. Resilience is the ability to continue moving forward even when things become difficult. It does not mean ignoring pain or pretending challenges do not exist. It means acknowledging the difficulty while refusing to let it stop your progress. Resilience develops through experience. Each time you face a challenge and continue moving forward, your confidence grows. You begin realizing something powerful. You are capable of adapting. You are capable of learning. You are capable of continuing the journey even when the path becomes uncertain. Another powerful mindset shift involves focusing on effort rather than perfection. Many people avoid taking action because they are afraid of making mistakes. They want their plans to be perfect before they begin. But perfection rarely exists in the real world. Waiting for perfect conditions often leads to inaction. Instead, successful individuals focus on progress. They take action, observe the results, and adjust their approach accordingly. This cycle of action and adjustment gradually leads to improvement. Think of life positioning as a process of navigation rather than prediction. A navigator does not always know exactly what obstacles lie ahead. But by constantly observing the environment and adjusting direction, they eventually reach their destination. Life works in a similar way. You move forward, gather information from experience, and refine your path. Over time, these adjustments bring you closer to the future you want. Another important element of overcoming obstacles is maintaining support systems. No one builds a meaningful life completely alone. Friends, mentors, family members, and communities can provide encouragement during difficult moments. Sometimes a conversation with someone who believes in your potential can restore the confidence you temporarily lost. Support systems also provide perspective. When you feel discouraged, others can remind you how far you have already come. Finally, it is important to remember that positioning your life is not a one-time decision. It is an ongoing process. Your goals may evolve as you gain experience. Your interests may expand as you explore new opportunities. Your understanding of the world may deepen as you encounter different challenges. This evolution is natural. The goal is not to create a life plan that never changes. The goal is to remain intentional about the direction you are moving. When you continue learning, adapting, and refining your path, your life gradually becomes more aligned with your values, strengths, and aspirations. And one day, when you look back at the years behind you, you may notice something remarkable. The moments when you felt lost were not wasted. The obstacles you once feared were not permanent barriers. They were simply part of the process that shaped the person you eventually became. Because positioning your life is not only about reaching a destination, it is about becoming someone capable of creating the future you want. And that journey of growth, learning, and discovery may ultimately become one of the most meaningful adventures of your entire life.